Chapter 5 Catching the Bad Guys. The man Sonia met in the law library that night was Robert Morgenthau. He was the district attorney, or DA, for New York County. DAs are lawyers who work for a city or county. They bring charges against criminals, put them on trial, and try to send them to jail. DAs are also called prosecutors. Morgenthau was famous in New York City. He was a tough prosecutor. The night Sonia met him, he was visiting Yale. He was trying to hire Yale Law School's graduates to work for him in New York City. Sonia listened to what he had to say. He explained that in most big law firms, young lawyers had to wait years before they got a chance to go to court. But in his office, new lawyers prosecuted criminals their first year on the job. Sonia loved the idea of going to court and speaking to juries, just like Perry Mason. Morgenthau liked Sonia right away and soon offered her a job. Working in the DA's office didn't pay very much, not compared to the money she could make at a big law firm. Still, it paid a lot more than Sonia's mother had ever earned, and it was work that she felt she was cut out to do. In 1979, Sonia joined the New York City DA's office. She would be one of 300 assistant DAs. New York City was full of crime then. Thousands of people were arrested every day. The assistant DAs had to decide which crimes were important enough to prosecute. There was a lot to learn about being a DA, and none of it had been taught in law school. Sonia had to learn on the job. She was given just a few weeks of training. She learned how the court system worked and how to bring charges against criminals. The new assistant DAs had also had practice sessions, which were called mock trials. Sonia learned how to talk to a jury and convince them that she was right. Her first real case in court involved a young college student who'd been in a street fight. Sonia described this case when she wrote about it in her book. She said when she stood in front of the judge that day, she stammered. She didn't feel ready. The judge was using words she didn't even understand. Sonia lost her first case. But she didn't let that stop her. She knew what to do. Ask for help and learn more. She won her second case. In fact, she did so well that her bosses considered her a star. Usually the new DAs handled small crimes for a long time before they were given more important tasks. But Sonia moved up very fast. The work was hard in the New York City DA's office, and the hours were long. Every week, Sonia had to spend one whole day talking to police officers about her arrests. Once a month, she had to stay in court all day and into the night, until 2 a.m. Working such long hours, Sonia had to be careful about her diabetes. She had to make sure she ate properly so she wouldn't faint in court. Her office was tiny and unpleasant. It was usually too hot or too cold. At first, she didn't even have an office. Her desk was in a doorway. Still, most of the time, Sonia enjoyed the work. She liked winning cases. But she also knew when it was right to drop the charges. Her bosses had taught her how to be tough but fair. They trusted her judgment. In 1982, Sonia handled one of the biggest cases of her career as a DA. It was called the Tarzan murder case. The criminal was a man named Richard Maddox. He robbed apartments by swinging on a rope like Tarzan. He burst through the windows. If someone was home when he broke in, he shot them. Sonia was chosen to help out in the case. She had to interview the witnesses, just like a detective. And just like Nancy Drew, she found a clue that helped prove Maddox was guilty. Her smart work helped put the Tarzan murderer in jail. But even though she liked being a DA, the job was taking a toll on her. She and Kevin hardly spent any time together. They didn't have as much in common now either. In 1983, Sonia and Kevin divorced. They weren't mad at each other. They had simply grown up and grown apart. Now Sonia had to start a new life on her own.